everyone. Welcome back to the Cheeky Couch Podcast. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday. As I've told you in every other episode of this podcast so far this weekend, Sundays are dedicated to Real Housewives of Orange County. I've told you before, my favorite housewives are definitely probably New York and Beverly Hills, or New York and Atlanta. It's kind of a tie between Atlanta and Beverly Hills for me. New York is always my supreme. Real Housewives of Orange County is not my favorite. Don't get me wrong, it is deliciously enjoyable. I just almost hate every character, except like a few. And I say character, cast member, whatever. There is some really delicious drama on this series. Orange County does not disappoint. I just really don't care for the women. Some of them I do love, but most of the ones I like usually don't stay very long. So yeah, today we are starting from episode 1. I also want to thank everyone who had notes for me on my YouTube channel. Again, this podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts. You can actually just go right to your little app and download it there, which I would really appreciate. I have to have like 1,000 downloads before it's like officially listed as a podcast and things like that. So any little bit really helps me. I really appreciate you guys doing that. Or of course you can watch it on my channel like you are doing right now. Anyway, what I was saying is a lot of you have given me really great notes, especially my video watchers. You guys asked if I could insert pictures when we're talking about certain people and certain events and certain things going on. Yes, we are doing that today in this episode. And I thank you guys for kind of letting me work out these kinks a little bit. I swear next weekend I'm going to have this on lock. Doing this whole podcast situation is just a new venture for me, so I just want to say thank you for letting me work out the kinks, and thank you for your suggestion to add pictures, because like I said, I was rewatching the podcast this morning after I put it up, or the video podcast on YouTube, and I was like, I should have added pictures. You need them, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do my best today to really create a visual story as we talk about all of this for you, especially if you're a new Real Housewives watcher. The storylines can get a little muddy and confusing, so visuals are always amazing, right? So I'm definitely going to do that. So if you guys are ready, let's begin. Real Housewives of Orange County was the very first Real Housewives franchise. It's number 1. It's the first one. So they haven't exactly found the groove that we know today yet. And what's funny is, what they sought out for the show to be kind of changed. I found this really interesting article on entertainmentweekly.com. I'm going to read you guys some things about it. So, Real Housewives of Orange County debuted in March 21st, 2006. 2006. Wait till you guys see some of these haircuts. It's hilarious. Again, the fashion choices, amazing. And it changed reality TV forever. What was interesting is part of the reason why this show was so successful was because of the writer's strike. If you're big into entertainment, you might remember the writer's strike. It lasted about 2 years, and because of that, there were no new shows being produced. It was just reoccurring shows. Now, of course, this being reality TV, they didn't have writers. Believe it or not, they did not have writers. So this show was something new and fresh, while, a lot of new and fresh really wasn't going on. And that kind of helped to catapult the franchise. Something else that really interested me is the storyline, like I said, or the theme of the show has really changed over the years. It's kind of just feisty women, feisty, wealthy women, let's be honest. But for Real Housewives of Orange County, they really were trying to go for almost a Desperate Housewives vibe. Do you remember that show? Not only that, but it was specifically following this group of women who live in the same gated community. That's why in the intro, they show them opening the gates as if it's like a gated community. No one else lives there but these special little people who live behind the gates. And the whole intro, there's this long monologue about these gates and what it feels like to live behind the gates, and you don't know what's going on behind the gates, and nothing sticks to you once you're untouchable once you're behind the gates. They really wanted to talk about these families who live behind a gated community and give us lowly poor people a look inside at these wealthy gated communities. And it was really supposed to be about the moms and the kids. So we do see a big emphasis on the kids in Real Housewives of Orange County, which I really don't love. I really like in the new seasons, there's not as big of an emphasis on kids. I don't think kids should be on the show at all, quite frankly, especially with the way some of these women act. It's, ugh. and their dirty laundry all out there. The kids deserve better. They just do. That's going to follow them around for life. So I'm glad they got away from that. But yeah, I just thought that was all really, really interesting. Okay, let's get into our character introductions. You guys, please watch at least the first episode. You have to see how old and how strange everything is. Like, it does not look like the modern day Real Housewives. Especially the way they do their little taglines and their little clips. They are like horrible. Season 1. They are so horrible. Vicky Gunvalson is first. I'm sure even if you don't watch Housewives, you probably have a little idea about Vicky Gunvalson, or you've heard the name before because she is notoriously wild. She is just, all I can say is woo woo. Because Vicky woos a lot. Her tagline is, I don't want to get old. It's like clipped from a scene where she's clearly getting Botox and she's just screaming, I don't want to get old. Like, I feel bad for her. It's a horrible tagline. Next, we have Jo De La Rosa, which is a beautiful last name. Oh my gosh. I believe she's the youngest on the show. She's not married. She's engaged. She's only 23 years old at the time of filming this. 23 years old. Can you imagine? That is so young. She's engaged to Slade Smiley. This will be a reoccurring name even long after Joe. Her tagline is, he's pretty much keeping me. Meaning, obviously, she's a kept woman. He likes her in the house. That's that. Then we have Lori's tagline, and just, it makes me feel, okay, on one hand, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me laugh every time I hear it. Her line is, are the police involved? Because she's on the phone with somebody, I believe it's someone from the school, and her son's in trouble. That's where it's not funny, because I'll be honest, to this very day, her son is in and out of jail. I mean, he's had like attempted murder charges, drug-related charges. He's definitely not had an easy go at life, or he's made a fair amount of mistakes. And it's something that him and his family are still dealing with to this very day. So when you watch it for the first time, it is funny. And then when you learn that it's still a problem today, he's in big trouble all the time, like big trouble, like jail, you feel kind of bad. Then we have Gina. Gina is a very interesting woman. And actually, we have Gina to thank for the Real Housewives in general. In fact, this show was only thought of because of her and her family. Gina is a very wealthy realtor, but she's had a long career. She was an actress. She was a Playboy bunny. And she married a former professional baseball player. They have a close friend named Scott Dunlop, and he's actually the creator of The Housewives. He was so flabbergasted by her lifestyle and all of her fancy friends coming in and out of the house and just her parties, and she was living like a wealthy rock star, basically. And he made a comment that she reminded him of Ozzy Osbourne, but without all the drug use. And he said, I'm going to make a TV show about your family. And he did. And that is why we now have Real Housewives. So I think that's really interesting because I can't remember how long Gina is on the show. I want to say 4 or 5 she leaves. But anyway, we have Gina to thank for the Real Housewives in general. And then we have Kimberly Bryant. This woman makes no impression on me, and I forget about her every time. Her tagline is 80% of this town has breast implants. That's her tagline. It's stupid. I'll be honest, I have not watched the beginning of Real Housewives of OC in a long time, maybe 2-3 years, so I'm a little foggy on some of these older cast members that we don't really see too much. I don't know if she's been brought back. I don't know anything. So I'm kind of going into this pretty fresh. And like I said, this show was really supposed to be about the families, but more so the kids and these women raising these kids behind these gated communities, how they're going to go to college and how they're going to, you know, what they're going to do with the next steps of their life. So especially in the first 2 seasons, I would say there's a little more focus on the kids. And then, of course, naturally, the women start fighting and it's like, to hell with the kids. We have something else major going on here. I'm also extremely excited to get to current day of Real Housewives of OC because there were some recently let go members of the show, big ones. Kelly Dodd, Tamra, And they have some mouths on them about being fired or let go from the show, and they can't seem to shut up about it. So I am really excited actually to talk about that with you guys when we finally get there. Now, the good news is that season 1 only has 8 episodes, so I think that we can get to season 2 within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to try and actually get through it pretty quickly because, like I said, first season of all of the franchises, it's a little weird, it's a little rocky, sometimes it's a little meh, so we're gonna zoom through it. So the show kicks off with, I believe, Gina talking about how much it costs to live there. Basically, land is $1 million an acre. Homes start at like 1.5 mil, get into the 2.2s on average. Super rich bitches up in here, okay? Gina herself is a realtor and she loves divorce because she gets to sell both the husband and the wife, or I'm sorry, ex-husband, ex-wife, new houses. And that sounds pretty banging to me. I don't know, would you use the same realtor as your ex? That thought has literally never crossed my mind till right now. I'd have to imagine you would not. We then meet her husband, Matt. Like I said, he was a former professional baseball player. I believe he was a pitcher. And then we get into some weird comments here. She was like a good old country girl, essentially. She was from Wisconsin. I guess he was attracted to that kind of, formal life that she had. Thought she was like maybe not I don't know. I guess he just wasn't looking for a California girl. I don't know. I'm sure California girls are amazing as well. I don't, whatever. But that's what immediately really interested him in her. And then Gina says, just the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard, that Matt and his mother picked her out of all of his girlfriends because she had the genetic build that they would want, like, for their offspring. Like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Was she tall, I guess? I don't know. Was she lean? Did she have, like, good calves? Like, what was it? Good arms? Because he probably wants a baseball prodigy child. I don't freaking know what that means. But, oh my gosh, imagine your mother-in-law, like, saying, that's the one. That genetic build is top notch. Don't let her go. And I hate to say it, but we are headed towards some very rocky, bad days ahead with these two. They have 3 kids. Colton is the youngest. They have Cara and they have Shane. Shane is obviously favorited somewhat because of his sports playing abilities. They seem to be all pretty active in sports, but Shane is the golden child. He's the oldest child, and he's the one who is most interested and doing the best in baseball, and having a former professional baseball player father, I'm sure, it's a lot of pressure on him, and he seems to be really favored. Gina also mentions that Shane got a little silver Mercedes for his birthday. He loved it. He drove it for like 2 weeks, and then someone said that's a girl's car and he didn't want it anymore. So we went to their daughter, Cara. She seems to break it in like the first 5 minutes she's playing with it, and so they go and buy her another car. Whatever. Next, we meet Jo. Like I said, Jo is only 23 years old. She is engaged to Slade Smiley, who I met before, but I met him with another housewife that he then goes on to date, and I believe they get married. I don't remember. I think they do. Miss Gretchen. We'll get there. We're not there yet. Slade has 2 children of his own from 2 previous relationships. Slade and Jo don't have any kids together. She's about to be a stepmother, because they're engaged and all that. She lives there, and he kind of likes to keep her there, I guess, making dinner and cleaning the house. What's interesting is Slade is really quick to talk about how he made his first 7-figure deal really young, and then after that, it was just adding zeros. I feel like he talks it up higher than he has it. And, we see this in later seasons that he's struggling a little bit. I'm not fully convinced that he was ever extremely successful. Maybe he was. And don't get me wrong, it's an expensive town to live in. They live in the gated community as well. But when you see their house, and I'm going to try and find clips of it, I don't know, it just looks a little unfurnished. It looks a little empty. It looks like possibly all their money could be going into their lifestyle, into their, location, but I don't see many like amazing furnishings. Like when you go to Vicky's house, and we'll get there, or Gina's house, like, it looks like someone lives there. I don't know why, but Slade Smiley's house looks a little on the empty side to me, which again, not judging. It's just, he's just really, really quick to talk about money. And I don't know. You know what they say? Money talks, but wealth is silent, or some shit like that. I wouldn't know. And Joe's still kind of into going out. She's young. She's beautiful. She wants to see her friends, but Slade Smiley is definitely kind of looking for a stay-at-home wifey type at this point. Next, we meet Kimberly. She is a mother of two. She's a stay-at-home mom. Her husband works for a Fortune 500 company. They're from Baltimore, and they also live in Coda de Casa. That is the name of this gated community that they are filming. Kimberly, to me, at least so far, has zero storyline. I mean, all she talks about is the fact that she got big implants. She wanted C's, decided to go for the D's, and, she's just working out on her body, and that is like all we get from Kim so far. We then meet the one and only Vicky Gunvalson. She is busy in her little intro scene. She is working hard. She sells insurance. I believe she has her own insurance business called Coda Insurance or something like that. She has a daughter and a son, Brianna and Michael. Michael's off at college. Brianna's still at home. I believe she's in her senior year of high school. And Vicky is a firecracker. She is a sassy mama, and she's a very hard worker, which is something I give her a lot of credit for. I think some relationships and some aspects of her life kind of fall to the wayside because she is such a hard worker. Not in that direct aspect, but she reminds me of my mom. Vicky really talks about, she kind of came from just a dead-end life. She met her first husband and the father of Michael, I believe. She met him bagging groceries at a grocery store. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He is the father to both Brianna and Michael. I just remembered. She wasn't happy. She left him. She moved, and she created this amazing life for herself, which is kind of my mom's exact storyline. So in a way, I really love Vicky, though she gets on my nerves, but I'm just proud of her that, especially back then, it's always hard for women to move up and to change their lives. But imagine it like in the 80s. You know what I mean? It was a different world back then. So I really do applaud Vicky for that. She created this beautiful life that she has always dreamed of. And she is a successful woman all on her own. We then meet her daughter, Brianna. She is scurrying off to get ready for her senior prom. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Wait till you guys see these prom dresses, these hairstyles. I mean, this was so 2006. We also meet Dawn, her husband, who absolutely pulls at my heartstrings. I love Dawn. I wanted better for Dawn. I don't want to spoil anything, but just get ready to have your heart broken a little bit for Dawn, okay? This is a good man. He's a good man. Now we see Brianna and Vicky in the salon. Brianna's getting her hair done for prom tonight, and Vicky is just grilling her. And this is where we really get our first sense of Vicky's personality. She is a little frantic. She goes a mile a minute, and she has a lot of concerns. She's a worrier. She really is a mama bear. I think she's really, really sweet in that way. She just, just adores her children, maybe even obsesses over them a little bit, but she's warning Brianna. She's like, no drinking, no sex tonight, da-da-da-da. What is your date wearing? Oh my God, he's wearing a white tux. We need to change that. And you can tell Brianna is so cool. She is so loosey-goosey, and she's like, no, it's funny, it's hilarious. So I love that Brianna is clearly so carefree, and she's just there to have a good time, and you see how she's the exact opposite of Vicky. Next, we see Shane playing basketball with some of his friends. Again, Shane is the son of Gina, and her daughter comes up, and she wants to shoot a little hoop stunt on them, and she does. She makes it in. She's wearing this, crop top hoodie thing. I believe it says Juicy on it. It's probably Juicy Couture. She's wearing bikini bottoms and a little skirt over it. And I hate how the cameraman shot this scene. Please pay attention to this. It's at 11 minutes and 20 seconds if you're watching the episode yourself. You know how they slice and dice footage and make it look weird sometimes? They definitely do that. And Cara comes up and she's just chill. She's just a normal girl. She just has a little midriff showing. It's not a big deal. But the cameraman, then shows this clip, or the editor, I should say. The episode shows this clip of, it looks like Shane, her brother, and all of his friends are kind of looking at her like she's, super hot or something, and it's just really uncomfortable. They play this kind of, this kind of, sassy, sexy music, I guess, and it's just really uncomfortable, and I feel awful for her that they did that. It's weird. It's freaking weird. Though I'm sure his friends probably were looking at Cara because she's adorbs, but probably not her brother. I think he was probably just listening to her talk, or he's watching her shoot the basketball, but they just framed it super weird, and I hated it. We zoom to Kara at her volleyball game. Gina is there cheering her on, and she has a little snippet, Kara does, about how Shane's definitely favored in the family, and she's really good at school. She gets really good grades, and she's really good at volleyball, and she's happy her mom's at least there to cheer her on, but she wishes her dad would be there to watch her. It sounds like her dad isn't very involved in her life. Like, I think Shane is literally his, at least from what we can tell, Shane kind of seems to be his dad's focus solely. Then we pivot to Shane's baseball game. Matt is obviously there. I would say rooting for his boy, but I don't get that vibe from Matt, from the father. And Gina says that if Shane were to make it to the major leagues, he will be the third generation of the family to do that. And there's only been 2 other families who have done that, like, in history. So clearly there's a lot riding on Shane's shoulders to get into the major leagues. Now, this is interesting, and it's actually something that I know of one other family that I knew in New Jersey did this as well. So Shane is clearly struggling in school. He's not doing well, and she believes it's in part because the baseball team that he was playing on at his school, they thought wasn't good enough, or it just wasn't working out for Shane. So they literally bought another house, a $780,000 house. It looks like a little townhouse. Not little, my gosh, but a $780,000 townhouse so that Shane and Matt could live there so he could attend a different school and try out on that baseball team. Like, that is how they spent $780 just to switch schools and kept their original house and had those kids still there, and then just bought this other house so that he could try on a different baseball team. So, like, gosh, imagine the pressure on Shane, and he's already not doing well in school. Things are not looking good. And now the draft is coming up. They are hoping he's going to get drafted. Shane did so badly in school. He failed so much that he was not able to play baseball his entire senior year. Imagine wanting to be drafted and you just missed out on your senior year baseball time. Like, what an F up. And I worry for him. I can only imagine how hard his father probably came down upon him. I'm a firm believer that, you're not done raising your kids like right at 18. So even if it was his senior year, I partly think they should have been on top of him with his grades. I mean, you have to, right? I mean, if you're clearly your entire family is like banking on the fact that he's going to go pro and no one was checking to see if he was doing his homework. Not that you should have to. I get it. But I mean, if you have that level of expectation of him, you should probably put in that much effort yourself to ensure that it happens. Then we're back with Kimberly, the one who got the breast implants, and that's about all we know about her so far because there's really not much to her, I swear. She is driving her daughter Bianca to the salon. She's going to get her hair done because it is she says her middle school prom. I've never heard of such a thing. I've heard of farewell dances, like 8th grade farewell or things like that. Little graduation dances. I've never heard of an 8th grade prom. We're back at Vicky's and she's taking photos of Brianna and all her friends and Brianna's date for their prom. Brianna has a really cute pink dress. I care about those details. I don't know if you do, but she looks amazing and you can tell like her mom is just fawning over her, obsessed with her. And Brianna is just so chill. And she's like, my mom is just totally trying to live her life through me, which she honestly doesn't mean it bratty. She's being silly. And they have an extremely close relationship, and I really admire it. I think they're really cute together. I mean, you have to be a special person to handle Vicky Govelson. You just do. We're back at Joe and Slade's house. He's winding down for the night. It's about 9 o'clock. He has to put the boys to bed. Joe's in the kitchen with a cute little dress on with her girls. Looks like they're sipping cocktails, probably vodka sodas with a little lime. That's what it looks like. Possibly a margarita. I'm not quite sure. And she is ready to go out for a night on the town. So we're seeing the contrast of relationships. He really wants to settle down with a cute little trophy wife. I mean, she's only 23, 24 years old. She is so young, and she's really in the peak of her life, and the poor thing is cooped up at home. But not tonight. She is ready to get out. What's really interesting is this scene of Joe in the club. They're drinking and dancing, and they light up cigarettes, like indoors. I didn't think you could even do that even in 2006. Now we're back at Vicky's, and Lori's there. Lori actually works for Vicky. This I thought was really sweet. They were friends to begin with, but Lori is a single mother. She has 3 kids all on her own. She was struggling financially. And Vicky kind of took her under her wing, gave her a job at her own, insurance sales company. And so Lori is working there at Vicky's house because Vicky's office is in her house. And she gave her a job to kind of help lift her up. And I think she probably saw a little bit of herself in Lori. You know, she's struggling and wants a better life. And Vicky's doing everything she can to help her get that. What's interesting is that Lori actually was only even casted on the show because a film crew showed up to film Vicky. They noticed Lori and they thought, this is interesting. We have all these wealthy women here in this show, and here's Lori kind of trying to get there on her own, and she's under Vicky's wing, and she's blonde, she's beautiful, great bod, like she fits the show perfectly, and she adds that contrast so you're not just sitting there watching a bunch of rich women enjoy their life. You know what I mean? It adds a little bit of normalcy to the show. Lori then talks a little bit about her divorce. In her words, she was screwed. She didn't receive any sort of settlement from the divorce, which I'm like, wow, I wonder why. Especially having 3 kids, I wonder why she did not receive a settlement. It happens sometimes, unfortunately. And then she goes and visits her old house that she used to live in. It's not her house anymore. She has a much smaller apartment style now. And yeah, and it's sad, but it's inspirational to see her striving for more and to get back to the life that she loved. Then it bumps to Lori's current residence. It's, I believe, out of the gated community, and it's still nothing to laugh at. It's a beautiful townhome, like seriously gorgeous. Anyone would be lucky to live there. But I bet it's stressful coming from the life that you did. And also having 2 kids in a townhouse. I mean, we have 3 cats in a townhouse, about to be 4. I'll talk about that at the end of the show. I'm really excited. We adopted a little baby today, and she's coming home to us on Wednesday, and I'm really excited. I mean, a cat, not a baby. I'm so sorry. That was a poor choice of words. We adopted a 4-year-old cat. Anyway, Lori has an older daughter, Ashley. She lives in LA, and her 2 younger kids live in the townhome with her. If you remember, Josh is the one that's really struggling. We see Josh for the first time, and by the way, just his hairstyle, this is so, what was his name? Like Ryan Cabrera. Was that the style? It's this, they clearly have highlights, and it's like super flat on the sides, and then it's spiked up to here. In almost every boy we've seen so far in the show has this type of hair. Like, this was the 2006 TikTok hairstyle. Do we miss it? No, we don't. This is one trend we don't need to bring back for the young men out there. Not a good look. Now we're back with Slade and Joe. He's having a little talk with her. It looks like a little business meeting, like outside the coffee shop. You can see all over Joe's face. She knows she's in trouble. She knows she's about to get a talking down to, which is hard. I'm pretty sure Slade is about 12 years older than Joe. So it's like she's about to be reprimanded by her older fiance. That is so shitty, but he really wants her to stop going out so much, stop partying so much. He wants her to be home. He wants her to spend more time with the kids. He really feels that she kind of tends to take off if they're there, and maybe she feels uncomfortable. Maybe it's awkward. Maybe she doesn't know what to do. She's only 24 years old. Now, mind you, I know that teen moms or younger moms still get the job done. I'm not saying she's not capable of it, but they're not her own kids. She wasn't forced to grow up and learn responsibility really, really fast like a lot of young mothers are and young fathers. So I imagine it's kind of hard, especially when they're not your own children. She wants to marry this wealthy man. I'm not still convinced that he's wealthy. I'm just not. And I would love to know the clarity of this yellow canary diamond ring that she has, because those are really, really expensive. And I just don't believe he has it like that. I really don't. So he's kind of given her somewhat of an ultimatum, like, chill out. Stay home with me and the boys, or go. We're back at Gina's house. She is there with her husband, Matt, her son, Shane, and her daughter, Kara. They are watching the draft. Today's the big draft. There are 3 days of the draft, and they're hoping he is drafted on one of them. Kara makes this really interesting comment. She says, today's the day we find out what is going to happen with the rest of my brother's life. Like, what? That pressure. And then, long story short, he's not drafted on the first day. And she makes this really sad comment about just knowing his lineage and his history, his family's history, that if he is not drafted right now, the last 18 years was a total waste. He's wasted 18 years. I just can't imagine that pressure at probably only 18 years old, I would imagine. It's crazy. We're back at Lori's house. She receives a phone call from her daughter, Ashley, who informs her she is coming home. We finally meet Ashley. She's adorable. She walks in with a suitcase and a dog, and she's like, Mom, I'm coming home. And you can see the blood just drain from Lori's face because, first of all, it's another mouth to feed. Ashley didn't come home with any type of job, any type of money, and Ashley has a car. She has car payments. Then Lori goes out to the club, has a good time, bump and grinds on a lot of guys. Whatever, don't care, boring. Let's fast forward to Shane. This broke my heart. You can just tell, at least with Shane, there was no encouragement, emphasis, or support with him and his education. We kind of could already tell that by the way the entire family's like counting on him to go pro with the baseball, and yet no one was making sure he was like getting his grades up. Like they were just throwing that to the wind. That bothers me so much. But anyway, we get back to Shane. He's all alone at home. It's the day of his graduation, and the first thing he says is, today's my graduation and I'm not going. He's missing his graduation. He has like, I worry that he's depressed. He seems depressed to me. He has really sad eyes. You can see just sadness behind his eyes. He's going out for a little dip in the pool. He says there's no point in going to his graduation because it's just a fake piece of paper, which is, that offends. I know he's just a young kid, so I'm not like offended, but I really hate that. That's so not true. Even just graduating high school is something to be proud of, and we're all lucky to do it. I have a relative who didn't graduate high school, and it's been hard on them their entire life, and now I think they just feel they can't go back and do it. So it's something to be proud of. Even high school, you should be proud of your high school diploma, and I just feel so sorry for him. Oh, and not only that, like, no one's home. I don't know where his dad is, but Gina, his mom, is like going off to, okay, it's like a charity banquet that she does every year. She does this charity event. It fell on the same day as his graduation. I'm sorry. Of course, I care about charity, and I think it's wonderful that she does charity, but you couldn't figure something out to not miss your son's high school graduation? His high school graduation. And she doesn't really seem to mind. She's not upset about it. She's just like driving on. She's like, it's luck of the draw. Have this charity event. Fell on graduation day. What can you do? Like, it is your son's high school graduation. And it doesn't sound like he's going to college. So I just can't imagine missing it. And I feel bad for him that I almost wonder if he knew, obviously, that his family wasn't going to show up to his graduation. And so that would be awkward and embarrassing to go yourself. So I wonder if he even had a choice in going because he probably felt uncomfortable. And then in a sad, sad contrast, we bounce to Brianna's graduation party. And of course, Vicky has gone all out. There is a huge party at Vicky's house. Vicky has flown in Brianna's entire family, including her father, her real father. Vicky flew them all in to celebrate Brianna. Michael is home from college. And Vicky and her first husband, it's just, I hate to relate something else to me because I feel like this is all that I do, but I feel like I'm looking at my own mother and my own father. Like, this is the exact relationship they have, and it's the exact same personalities. My dad's like a little more country. The South Dakota really never left him, My mom, though, got out to the big city and she never looked back. My mom's a full-on Jersey girl, but my dad is very much like Brianna's real father. He's real chill. He's real Midwest. And you just look at them both and you wonder how they were ever together. That's exactly what it looks like when you look at my parents. So I think that's kind of hilarious and relatable. Please let me know if you have divorced parents that are like that. Like, the divorce was terrible and it took a long time and now, thank God, everything is all good. But you look at them and you go, how were you ever together? You are polar opposites. I guess that's what happens sometimes when you marry young and have kids young. Oh my gosh. All right, we're back with Jo. She's at this little restaurant. She's talking about how she doesn't know anyone in town. She's, sick of being at home. She's bored. She's lonely. This is the fakest, worst scene I have ever seen anywhere, ever. It is so awful. Kimberly just so happens to be at the restaurant as well. Just so happens to be there. She's out sitting on the patio with a bunch of her friends, having some drinks, and Jo just walks up to this table. Clearly, this is them, like, trying to start to introduce the castmates. Jo just marches up to the table and goes, "Hi, this is super weird and random, but do you girls live in Kodo?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do. Have a seat. Like, let's talk." It's just like, It's like the worst scene ever. And she's just like, okay, I'm like so awkward. She's like, I don't know anyone here. I'm just trying to meet friends. So they're just talking about each other's lives, blah, 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 blah. Joe goes on and on about how she's like cooped up at home all the time. She can't get out of her house ever. It's starting to sound a little alarming, to be honest with you. Showing off her engagement ring, la-di-da-di-da. They exchange phone numbers and they decide they are going to hang out sometime. So this is introducing the castmates to each other, at least Kimberly and Joe. We're back at Gina's and she lets us know that Shane was drafted by the Oakland A's. So that's great. But just because you're drafted doesn't mean you'll actually play, I guess, which is like so shitty. I know nothing about sports, so that's upsetting. We also learned that Cara made the varsity volleyball team, which is awesome. So Gina has... I feel like they play these weird games with their kids. I don't know. But Gina has flowers, or maybe she's just trying to show her support too. But Gina has flowers there for her. Shane gets nothing, even though he was drafted by the Oakland A's. Cara also asked if she could have $500 if she made the varsity team. And so she gets 500 smackaroos. Smackaroos or smuckaroos? Smackaroos, I believe it is. The final scene, we are back at Joe's house, or Joe and Slade's house. She's like walking around in a little Juicy Couture velour sweatsuit. It's so 2006. Low rise, of course. She has a little coffee and she slumps down on her couch and she's like, like, oh, I'm a lonely little housewife. I love Joe, by the way. I'm not making fun of her. I just think maybe her scenes are a little contrived. You know, they wanted her to stir it up a little bit. And she's young and she's eager and she's not embarrassed. So anyway, when she was at her little random meetup with Lori that was totally scripted for sure, Lori suggested maybe trying on some outfits and putting together like a sexy little show for her husband. So Joe is here having this really tacky video montage. She puts together the most horrendous little sexy outfit and she calls Slade and she's like, I need you home right now. This scene is so crazy to me. She's like in her bra and underwear. She's putting on tank tops and like little schoolgirl skirts and she has pigtails in and she's like just dancing around and like singing and she's like just trying on all these little outfits. Like she literally is having a Clueless moment, just like a little more trashy version of it, to be honest. She settles on a black skirt, a black tank top, a zebra cowgirl hat, and a giant hot pink boa, giant hot pink feather boa. To be honest, it's really not, if she removed the hat and the boa, it looks like a normal outfit. It's really not too scandalous. She has like a pair of handcuffs on her thigh. It is just like, it is so much. She says, honey, I really need you to come home. So then we have a shot of Slade just zooming home in his Hummer, trying to see what's wrong, what's going on. Yeah, right. They probably had him waiting down the street and they're like, okay, you can go now. He rushes in. Joe meets him at the door, gives him a big old wet kiss. She's like taking off his jacket as they're stumbling to the couch. She throws him on the couch. This is getting like really graphic. She hops up right on top and before you know it, she takes her shirt off and we get a good look at side boob. Like, you know, the cameramen are there and the shirt is gone. The shirt is off and she's just boobies out. This blew my mind. I can't imagine this being allowed today. I mean, don't even cameramen have rights to not be subjected to nudity and things? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they weren't complaining. It blew my mind. And then, of course, that's the end of the episode. You guys, I'm going to stop it here because it's getting really late. I want to get enough imagery into this episode to make it a little more fun for you guys to watch. And we'll pick it back up next Sunday. I decided I'm going to be filming the Real Housewives rewatch episodes during the week, just so that I have enough time to get 2 to 3 episodes of The Housewives in one Cheeky Couch episode. That way we can burn through these seasons quickly. And finally, because the introductions are done, we can actually really start moving on this and it's not going to feel so long. So thank you guys for hanging in there with me for the first episodes. I really appreciate that. And I hope you're having as much fun as I am. This has been a great time. It's been so much fun for me to get out of the box. Like I told you, we are bringing home a new kitty on Wednesday. I'm really excited. I am nervous to introduce her to our other cats. Don't worry, we are going extremely slow. Actually, her name is Kimberly. She goes by Amabella. She goes by Bella. And I actually love the name Amabella, but I'll probably end up just calling her Bella. I don't want to change her name because she's 4 years old and it's the family that the previous it's the name that the previous family gave her. And so I imagine she probably recognizes her name by now. So I don't want to change it. That's her name. But she's actually going to be staying in here. So I think you guys might get to see her. Because like I said, we have 3 cats of our own. As you guys know, Lola, Luca, and Leo. They're Italian. They love Real Housewives of New Jersey. I don't know why we gave them Italian names because neither Alok or I are Italian. He actually named them. So you have to ask him. But she's going to be living in here for a week or two as we start the, introduction slowly. I mean, we're not starting the introductions this week. Little things like how you can, play with them on each side of the door and kind of swap scents of things and get them used to each other. I imagine it's going to be a week to 2 weeks. Who knows how long, but I'm clearing out this room a little bit, and this is going to be her main living quarters. And I'm really hoping she just curls up right on this couch, and I'm hoping she will be in some videos. I counted on Lola being in some Cheeky Couch videos, and she just hasn't come up, and you can't tell Lola what to do. So fine, Lola, Anyway, I'm really excited to bring her home this Wednesday. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Cheeky Couch. Don't forget you can listen on Apple Podcasts, and I am getting it uploaded to Spotify and those other ones as well. Like I said, I will let you guys know on the Cheeky Couch Instagram when they are up on every platform. Secondly, I would appreciate any downloads you guys are willing to give me on Apple Podcasts. I have to get to 1,000 downloads to qualify for their podcaster program. So if you could help me out there, I would appreciate it. Only if you want to. I'm not asking you to. Just maybe as a little reminder, if you wanted these on your phone so you can listen to them while you're doing housework, busy work, whatever, I would love that so much. I'd also appreciate any ratings you guys think I deserve there. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, please. Like 80% of my audience isn't actually subscribed. I am convinced that almost all my subscribers are people who don't even use their accounts anymore. I just think people don't really hit the subscribe button anymore these days. It's like you just go and I think I'm probably not even subscribed to people that I watch. You just type in their name, you know what I mean? But it matters. Unfortunately, it matters. So please subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you guys this week with my normal beauty content. Love you guys so much. Be well. I will see you soon. Bye.